Alright guys, well, we're just off the road and we're following this little drainage in here, and there's already a ton of hog tracks. They've got this all rooted up back in here behind me along this drainage. There's a ton of tracks, a ton of rooting, and I'm hoping once I get down to this big hub down here that I can maybe kind of post up, sit for a little while, but I didn't get out here as early as I wanted to. Definitely a lot of sign in here, and get back here, try to look for some deer sign too, but it's pretty windy today, so I'm hoping that'll help me kind of slip around, and maybe I can kind of walk up on a group of pigs down in the ravine, or maybe catch them on the other side of the ridge there. We'll see what happens. I got some extra room in the pack to bring some quarters out, so I'm just gonna slip down there. It stinks pretty bad. This is definitely all super fresh. There's definitely a bunch of fresh poop right here. Right there, right there, right there. All that hog poop. And definitely down in here. Maybe we'll catch up to them. So I'm just following all the way down this creek system. Stinks. Smells just like a pig farm in here. But I think I may peel up on the side of the ridge, come around the end, or maybe just cut through here a little bit. See if they're laid up on some of these high spots. Go up on this little ridge and just peek over. I'm working my way down in this bottom, kind of tracking hogs, but I'm also scouting these ridges. So I came in from the road, and it kind of falls downhill, and then there's like 3 ridges and one kind of micro ridge that dump down in here. So I got down in there, I started walking to the right, found a big trail that went back up the ridge, kind of towards the road. So you can see what it looks like behind me. There's some white oaks. There's a lot of oaks up in here. But there was a trail coming straight out of the bottom up into this thicket towards the, kind of right off the road. And right here, I'm standing kind of right here in the transition area. And you can see the way it looks behind me. You've got some open ground, a lot of leaf litter. And right here behind me is where it starts to get super thick, and there's just all these little saplings, just 1-inch saplings, like clustered up like the whole way. So this is a trail that's coming up out of the bottom. I expect this to be some kind of bedding, especially even close to the road, and then kind of funneling down in there, because I walked straight up the trail. And I always recommend you just keep it simple, guys. Just get on a trail, and if you have a theory on it, just walk it out as far as you can. See what you find. If nothing, just mark a couple of trail crossings, mark where it gets thick, go back down, and move on to the next one. And just walking out trails, this is the time to do that. So I'm going to head straight back down this trail so I don't get confused, and I'm going to keep kind of side hilling. I'm going to hit the next ridge, and then kind of go from there until I circle this whole area, and we'll see which ridge kind of has the most activity, hopefully. So keep going. So I've actually been side hilling a little longer, further back than I wanted to, but I came across this creek system with a culvert, and I couldn't tell it was here. And there's definitely not as much sign on this side as there is over here, and here's where the steep ridge is and goes up, and there's pine plantation on top, and there's gonna see if there's any kind of bench or a side hill trail on this side. This would be the east side, and this over here would be the west side, north being right behind me there. So, and I'm also hoping to walk these creeks and kind of look for land bridges and things like that. Still running into a ton of hog sign, but there's definitely more deer sign here on on the other side of this bottom, which would be the east side. So the plan is to kind of work it down and circle up and work the other side of the side hill back and see what we find. So I'm walking along this creek system. Again, that's the east side over there. It's a big hill. There's like a big berm right there or something. I'm fixing to go check that out. But along with this creek, it's only about 20 foot wide, but it continues on right here. But sure enough, I came across this. I crossed right there, and I came across this skinny little land bridge. I popped over here, and there's a lot of different kinds of poop. There's like coyote poop. There's like raccoon poop. There's a little poop right there. And but look at this. How it's flattened out right here. And look at this little trail that goes across and goes over to that hill. I mean, it is a pinch if you ever saw one. Again, it comes in between this slough and that slough. I'm standing on it, and it kind of goes over there. So coming down from this hill, if you're going that way, of course there's still all kinds of tracks and stuff in here, hogs and deer, and it's just a skinny little land bridge right here. They're not that hard to find, but they are hard to find good ones. Not that I know that at this point, but you can tell that these leaves are all beaten down. So it's definitely being used. Lots of different types of poop right here, so it's definitely worth marking. Well, I think it's safe to say I know where I want to come hunt hogs from now on. It's just never ending. And there's a couple of these little mini ponds on the side of this hill, and it's just obliterated, and it's the little ponds with plenty of dry ground just right nearby. It's not just a big monotonous bottom. I mean, check out this little pond. I mean, there's good standing water right there. I mean, this is just a active wallow. I mean, look at this mud. Look at this water. I mean, all of these trees are rubbed up with hog scratching. We definitely need to get in here and post up and try to catch some of these hogs moving through here in the evening, because they can't be far. I mean, that thing's got mud halfway up that little tree right there, 4.5 foot off the ground. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. I mean, look at the scratching on the tree. I mean, that's fresh. I mean, that water's almost soapy in the middle. I can't believe I hadn't ran into anything. I mean, look at this trail. It's beaten down coming off this hill. So we're gonna head up the hill, and we're gonna side hill back this way, and there's a pine plantation on top. I'm hoping to find more deer sign on this side. Alright guys, so I've been side hilling this big ridge right here. A big ridge for where we are. And I kind of came up on this bench. It's really odd. It's this perfect little bench with a lot of this just super, there's just high stem stuff, just 1-inch little saplings and stuff like that. And I was walking thinking I was going to find decent rub line in here. Wasn't really seeing much, but you can see right here where it slopes up, and there's a pine plantation on top that goes on for a while, and you can see how dramatic that is. Here's the bench, and then it dives off towards the bottom, and you can see how it slopes way down in there. And originally I came up on the west side and side hilled over there, ended up going way down and coming up this side. So this is the eastern slope that's sloping from east to west, and right now there's a north wind. The north wind is blowing right down this bench and kind of down in the bottom like that. So I was walking along here, and sure enough I finally came across a decently
made scrape for this time of year. And it's right under this little cluster of yopons. And yopons you don't really think a whole lot about being a scrape tree. Holly trees are really good scrape trees around here, and post oaks. But one thing that the yopon does offer is several licking branches. So just because of the way God made them, there's a branch right here, branch right here, branch right there. And I'm looking over here behind me, it looks like there's probably an older scrape right here. And then look at this tree right here. Here's an old licking branch. Look at that. Oh, come on. Kind of tipped off right there. They wore it out on that one. So there's definitely a cluster of scrapes right here. My thought is I could probably side hill this whole bench right here, and the bedding is probably up top. You see how thick that is right there? I mean, it's just gnarly. And once you get up there, it flattens out. And with this bank right here, it seems like they'd be coming down this bench or coming down. There's a trail. There's a little trail over there. But popping down right here, the good thing is where I access from, you could come up the bottom and come up and set up somewhere over here and look up here and hunt this bench, especially during the rut. Might catch something cruising right down this bench next to these scrapes. So this is really cool find. It's just crazy, because we do still have ridges in this area. It's a little trickier to hunt the wind. But this is a really cool setup where you can put some things in your advantage, and just all kinds of oak trees in here. This isn't even the white oak ridge where my camera is the next ridge over, so you can see where it drops down and goes up, and the white oak ridge is over there. So I'm going to continue to walk this out, and we'll keep going.
So this spot is so cool. I mean, it's like hunting an area that's not here in the national forest in Texas. You can see the trail the bench that I'm walking down. That scrape is about 60 yards back there. This ridge is kind of narrowing out right here, but I mean, this is just a classic bench. I mean, you can see over here where it just dives off into the bottom, and then I get right here. Like I said, it's a pretty steep hill. And look right here. Here's another example of just this little land bridge.
There's the bench I'm walking down, real steep embankment, and then I get right here and there's like a trail coming down this little gradual embankment right here. There's obviously a trail right here, and then right here it just picks back up steep, and the ridge just keeps going. And then right here, same thing, it just falls off. There's a trail right here going down the ridge into the bottom. Tons of oak trees. I mean, good night. I mean, look at some of these beautiful trees. Oak trees all along this hillside. This is a great bridge. This is kind of turning into a land bridge, Scout, or you would call this just another pinch. It probably looks like there's a trail coming right next to those trees, maybe right around it, and cross right, come right here, and they could go down this bench right here, or they could go down into the bottom. You could come up in the bottom and set up one of these trees, and really where you can shoot the bench and set up to shoot the bottom if there's a buck on a north wind, especially because that north wind's blowing right across this bench. He might slip down below you instead of walking this bench, and you could set up there, probably just downwind of this land bridge, somewhere back over there, with that scrape being down there. Set up somewhere back there where you can see this bench and cover this area. This is really sweet right here. Dang, it gets me fired up, man. And this is still all around this hub that's like, it's kind of a landscape. It's a bigger area hub. It's like probably just like 150, 200 acre, and it's big. I mean, when you're looking out across here, I can see sky across this hub.
you know, you can see it's a pretty good elevation. So dang it, I need to shut up and keep going. Man, this is sweet right here. It's beautiful. Beautiful trees. Got some water oaks too right here. It's awesome. So I'm just working my way down this hillside and the bench kind of petered out. But what I'm working towards is there's a pine plantation up here where the point reaches this is the closest point on kind of this topographic system where that pine plantation gets closest to the creek system. And it's right close to a hub, and I'm about 100 yards away. I can't even see the plantation yet, but I'm getting close. And it did kind of flatten out right here. There's a big holly tree, and sure enough, hadn't seen any sign for quite a while, but come across this nice old scrape right here, right up here around this holly tree. And like I said, these holly trees are great for scrapes because they tend to have that low canopy that's about 5 or 6 feet off the ground with several licking branches. Wouldn't be surprised if there's another hidden scrape over there. It looks like some of those branches are kind of chewed up a little bit, but definitely a well-known scrape right here. Definitely a trail coming through right here, and then walking by the scrape and the trail that I came up on from that way. And again, we're kind of side hilling this eastern hillside headed north, so we're going to keep on that path and go. That holly tree's down there, and I was following that side hill trail and it kind of got faint. I noticed there was a trail coming uphill, so I turned uphill, walked up here, and look at this great rub right here. I mean, that's probably a nice 3-inch tree. It's an old rub, but that is a great rub right there. There's another rub on that tree, and we're heading uphill towards that pine plantation now. Here's another side, here's another trail right here crossing this hill. So this is a great crossing right here, big rub. Could be bucks crossing this hill with that pine plantation up there trying to scent check all that. Alright, so that scrape was back there, that big rub, the holly tree scrape on the edge of the hill about 100 yards that way. So I finally made it right up here to the transition to, looks like maybe there's an old trail right there. It's not on the map, but right here's the pine plantation. So you can see just this real thick, just broom hedge and all this real thick understory. And this pine plantation goes way up this hill, and then it kind of peters out right here. And right as it crosses over this point, you can probably see across there, but I'm just going to go up in here and make a loop through this point. I'm not going to go up in the plantation. This is about a 60-acre plantation. But this is the spot where I wanted to get. There's all kinds of trash right here from when they did the pines. Usually the edges are super rough, but there's definitely a trail coming out where I came from, coming from here up in there, so wouldn't be surprised if there's some bedding right up there and all that real thick grass right there. So pretty sweet. I'll go check it out. The ridge where my camera is, you can see where it falls down. You see some daylight. There's the adjacent ridge over there. It wasn't very thick. It was a narrow ridge. It was just, it's where the sign was at the time. This ridge and this edge over here next to this pine plantation seems to have better bedding. You got a lot of this foliage coming up, not a lot of trees right here, a lot of sunlight. You've got 6-8 foot cover all throughout here. So I'm just working my way along this bottom. I'm gonna go all the way up, and I'm gonna cut over to where the ridge is with my camera on. But this could be at least part of the higher percentage on where these deer are coming from back on this side. Just a lot thicker, a lot more ground thicket. So I come down the side of the plantation, and
the trail kind of curved down, so I just kept following it, and came across a little rub cluster back there. Oh, where's that rub at? There's a rub in there. There's a decent rub right up here, right along this trail. And it actually goes down to the creek, and there's this little pocket of trees across the creek that is just indicates a little pocket of diversity, and it really makes me curious. So we're going to cross over there, check that, and then we're going to work our way back down the ridge towards the camera. Well, across the creek here in this little spot on the map, this is what it is. Very few tall trees, just super dense, thick cover. I mean super thick. Do see one little rub over there. I'm gonna try to see if I can find some kind of edge and just kind of parallel it down out of here. But yeah, because I'm not getting through that. But this is good to know for sure. Across the creek from that other ridge over there, which is definitely thicker, more likable for bedding. I did find a scrape over there, relatively decent. Nothing that blow your mind, but this is White Oak Ridge. I scouted this during season. I came up here, and there's literally just too many to count oak trees all through here. A giant one right here, and this thing was absolutely raining. I mean, like more than I've ever seen. So I just happened to have a camera with me, so I hung this camera up right here, and very next day I had pictures of bucks right here in daylight. Early November, late October, I think. There was a scrape over by this little low-hanging branch, but I tried to blow it up, but it didn't really take. But they were just in here feeding. A lot of hogs in here feeding. And the timing was just right. And the only reason this area works, you circle all the way back to this ridge, which is coming down from the north facing south. The ridge that I walked earlier with the bench, that's sloping down from the east to the west, is the access is from the west. And I come in here, I can hit this ridge. If I don't like it, I can jump over to the next ridge. I can go further down and then jump over to that bench, because all of the access is from the west. No trails, but that is how I'm coming in here. There is a barrier over there. This is most of the sign has been on the eastern portion of this property. So I'm anxious to pull this camera and see what's left on it. And this was certainly a hot spot. There's quite a few deer in here at one time, and a lot of hogs. So get your stuff together, and we're kind of on the way out of here. Man, it's beautiful though.